Great. Great. At least now be able to see this. But don't worry, I'll not include this activity in the recording because, of course, it's your personal information. I don't want the whole uh, the all access patrons to just get to know the details about you. But don't worry, your privacy would be very, very, very strictly respected. And that's pretty much it. So, three of you, we have some information about you, and let's dive into our session now, which is going to be on effective learning, and not just learning, but also teaching. Right. So, before we begin, I would want to um, ask you individually what online learning or teaching experience do you already have? If you have done any online course, or if you have taught online, or any sort of such educational things, what is your experience with online learning and teaching? So let's begin with Achal.
Uh, Online teaching, I haven't done that. I teach students at my home. Like
Okay.
my mother has been teaching, so through that I got into teaching
Okay.
at home. And
Okay.
about learning, um, I just had my college sessions
Okay.
online, but that was like more of presentation kind of like presentation slide was going on, and the professor was saying exact things.
Oh, so it wasn't that interactive, was it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Okay. So that's about it, right?
that's it. Yeah, I don't have any like any experience in online teaching or learning that much.
Yeah, not enough. Okay, great. Uh, Now let's listen to Pravalika. Oh, sorry, I muted you by mistake. Pravalika, can you hear us?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. I
yeah,
unmuted myself. So
yeah.
I have zero experience in teaching, neither online or offline. Uh,
Okay.
and online learning, I do take a lot of online courses, but they are not like live sessions. So I take them at my pace.
Okay.
So
Okay. Anything else that you have ever learned online? It could include even learning how to uh, make a recipe from YouTube, you know?
okay, so I usually refer online tutorials only to learn anything, even for my work. So
Okay.
yeah,
Like, can you give us an
and
example?
I'm even taking courses like. So electronic tutorials is a site that I usually refer to learn any concepts about electronics. And
Okay,
similarly, I am
electronic
even,
tutorials.
sorry,
Electronic tutorials, right?
electronic tutorials.
Okay.
So, and I also enroll for different courses on EDX site,
Can
like
you
academic writing.
um,
So
that would
I,
be really helpful.
I enroll,
Like, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Just these two that you mentioned, electronic tutorials and the EDX that you mentioned now, could you
yes,
type that in the chat box so that others can also, if they're interested, they can take a look, because we can
sure, sure.
learn from each other here, right? So after you speak, do type it in, okay? Yeah, please continue.
Okay. So I even enrolled for different courses in EDX like academic writing
Mhm.
and intermediate English upgrading skills. Even there are different sites I'm referring right now to improve my knowledge on English grammar also. I
Right.
couldn't recollect the web link, but I can search and copy it here. So it has a detailed sections which lets us know about everything like creative writing, what is the academic writing, what are the grammar, what are the sections in grammar. If we want to be ESL trainer, then what are we supposed to know? So there is a lot of content in it. I can search and
Great.
copy the link.
Yeah. That would be very helpful for all of us. Perfect. Let's listen from Shivani.
Yeah, like in the beginning of the session only, I told you I'm a teacher, so I have been taking online classes for for a month or so, and it was like a very new experience for all of us, for all the teachers. Like
Mhm.
we were very scared in the beginning, like how will we teach, how will the kids respond and everything. The first day was like very, like we all were scared to death, but that was the first impression we had of online teaching in our minds, like we won't be able to conduct the classes and all. But once we started with it, now we are like very you can say we are very comfortable with online teaching, and
Mhm.
we are planning for our next classes also, like from July onwards also we have to take online sessions.
Okay.
So this is like it, it
And
it it has been a very good experience for me,
okay.
a new one also.
Okay. And what platform are you used to? Are you using Zoom or
Zoom,
something?
we were doing it on Zoom, but now after I think 15th of July we will be shifting to Microsoft Teams. But right
Team.
now we have been taking on Zoom, and I think in July first week or second week also we will be taking it on Zoom only.
Okay. All right. Mm, that's very interesting. Great. So we just understood how
And I
different.
have attended some webinars also online.
Yeah.
So
Is it Shivani?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you've attended. What sort of webinars are they?
See, one was like for teachers, how to deal with stress while taking online classes and all, how to be creative. Then
Mhm.
one was on meditation. Then one was like for pre-primary teachers, how to make your sessions interesting and all. What kind of activities you can include in your online teaching. So that was
Right.
it.
Very interesting. So, out of all of us, I think Shivani, you have got the teaching experience of and using Zoom um, as a host and conducting class.
Yes.
Great. So,
Yes.
so what you can do in this workshop is just compare what you already do and see if you have something different from which we can benefit. Okay.
Okay.
and and Archer and Pravalika, you can just see your own idea of online teaching. And what I'm saying is, if there is a match or it was completely different that you didn't expect, right? So we'll come to that at the end of the session. So now, with all the information I have from three of you, let's begin the session, and let's focus on the first thing that already Shivani was talking about, that is learning in the new context, right? So we all know how different it is now. The face of education has changed 180 degrees. If not 180 degrees, then at least 90 degrees for some of us who did our online learning somehow, but not completely. But now it is an absolute um, compulsion for almost all of us to get involved into the digital world and learn online, right? So in this new context, things have changed in many levels, not just the mode that we have been used to using, and the ones that we are forced to use now, but also so many human things that used to happen, right? I like actually getting dressed and looking at the time and managing yourself and going to the colleges and universities and schools to learn or teach. So, like universities, colleges, and teaching used to look a lot like this for us, where there used to be a human teacher and human students. We used to understand each other's expressions and body language, and there used to be that bonding, uh, that that organic sharing of knowledge, not just knowledge, but also different things. Like we used to crack jokes on our teachers behind their back. Now, all you need to do is just mute yourself and you can crack jokes. So that that thing about, like joking about the teacher has also changed so much. It's not that fun anymore. Or that's what I think. Or maybe for some, it's more fun. Some people are going to the extent of even like harassing online classes. I saw some viral videos of how some notorious students are disrupting the online classes. But of course, with time we change. But what I'm focusing here is the shift from this organic presence into this digital presence of people looking as digital boxes. We are like captured in these small boxes of faces where most of us, like even in this session, you can see that we're more comfortable switching our cameras off, right? And even if we switch it on, it's not as natural and organic as this feels or looks. So because of the transition and the digitalization of every human aspect of this new context, we're seeing that there's anxiety and there's frustration that's building up because of so many reasons, right? Mostly the reasons that we just spoke about. So what is the solution? See, this is a teacher training course. So I'm going to take the angle of a teacher, right? So as teachers or potential teachers in the future, the first thing that we need to understand is how to step into the shoes of our learners. So the word for that is empathy. We need to be empathetic towards what our students are feeling, right? So here comes two important things. So the first thing is understanding their need of continuing education. Right? So many of us we are taking a back seat as teachers, that hey, the government has asked that attendance is not compulsory. The organizations are deciding to pass everybody because examinations aren't possible. But we need to understand that these students are, and a couple of you are students at the moment. Pravalika, are you a student at the moment, or you've finished your college?
I have finished my college and I'm working as an engineer right now.
Oh, right. Okay, great. So, but it's been how many years that you have finished your college?
4 years.
Oh, it's been a while. But if you really think about the time when you were a student, and Achal can relate to it right now when she is in college, and Shivani also, she is with the educational background and atmosphere for a long time.
Yes.
Students do feel a kind of anxiety, mostly the college students, about the career, about finishing their college and getting a degree. So when teachers kind of chill out, thinking that, it's okay, we can take the excuse of the pandemic and just be cool, what is students suffer because even students who understand the need and even students who don't understand the need, both of them suffer because it's the truth that the education is suffering. So we need to be empathetic about that and step into their shoes. And also we need to be empathetic about their limitations. The first limitation that is staring at our face in India, in a country like India, is the digital divide. Right? So some people have all the equipment required, like a Wi-Fi, very fast Wi-Fi connection, and a laptop, microphones, and enough atmosphere at home where they can sit back and attend an online class and listen and participate, and then use all the other tools to do the homework and submit assignments. Right? Some of you have. Um, uh, I think both of you, Anshul as well as Shivani, you have done those courses, like maybe 1 or 2 courses that I've conducted, the 5-day courses,
Yes.
right? Where you join the Edmodo group and you got all of them. But there's so many out there who do not have the resources. So that is a huge limitation which we need also to be empathetic about and also plan for them. No, and not just plan for the lucky ones, the privileged ones. So these are the considerations. Now, today's session will mostly focus on two important aspects. That is how to prepare students for online classes. And number two is planning online classes. Right? What are the things you need? What are the things you need to consider and understand in order to start teaching online? So Shivani has already started teaching online. So what you can do is now rethink that. Have you considered these things, or have you considered more things which are not covered? So moving on to the first thing that you need to do in order to prepare students, you need to understand who the students are. Who are these people who you are preparing these lessons for? Right? You have to not think about students as some customer. You cannot afford to think of students as customers who will be happy with a one size fit all kind of a product. Like, hey, this is like a free size jacket, just anybody can wear it. So you need to consider a few things about who these people are in order to really prepare them for online classes. So these 4 aspects about knowing your students are the most vital ones when you begin to prepare your students for online classes. And the first one is some general considerations, like how old are they, how many, which year are they studying, or how many years they how many years have they been with you in the organization, how used to they are with the other students, what is the course that you are teaching, what is the level of the students, and things like that. So we've been talking about the general consideration. The second one is the digital literacy, like connectivity and accessibility. And the third one is study skills and health things. So these things you need to consider. Let's get into the details of digital literacy. We need to understand where they are. Are they in a city, urban city, where all the facilities are there? Or are they in some place where they have got physical restrictions? Even if they are in an urban place, do they have that kind of atmosphere at home where they can conduct, like, where they can attend a proper online class, all the thing that it needs? You have attended some online classes yourself. All three of you have the experience of attending online classes. So you just know, like, how it feels, what are the limitations. You know how disrupting it can become when your family member who doesn't understand online classes, who doesn't understand classroom in general. We all have those people. Most of us do, if not all of us, who little children, or like elderly people, or just think about your domestic help. They can just like barge in, I need to clean the room, and that happens with me often, where I'm like disrupted by the person, said, hey, I'm sitting in front of like 200 people and I'm presenting. They just see me sitting in the class, and usually I don't wear my pajamas. I'm sorry, that came out wrong. I wear my pajamas. I don't wear my formal pants. So they think he's in his pajamas, so he might not be doing something serious. I wear a shirt, like a formal shirt or something like that, but I'm casual underneath. So they don't take it seriously. So that limitation, you need to understand that students also face those limitations which we do ourselves. So that it becomes part of that empathy thing, where you need to understand their physical settings and also understand what devices they're using. Do they have the devices that you're asking them to? Or maybe they have amazing devices that you don't know much about. So it's your task to upskill yourself scale yourself up when it comes to skills in teaching in order to extract the best out of the students? And also, do they have a proper connectivity? Internet is everything when it comes to online teaching. Some of you have attended the 5-day speaking course, and it was right in the middle of that Amphan thing where West Bengal, Orissa was really suffering because of the storms. And I'm in Bengal and I suffered out of the out of the 5 sessions, 2 sessions got badly affected because there was power cut and in the middle there was a storm and I thought my house will blow away. So connectivity issues. So if you don't want to think about a natural disaster, then you can just like think about in general the connectivity issues that students might have. So this is very important. So which is number 2, that is digital literacies and connectivity. Are they literate? Are they digitally literate enough? The first one was general considerations, and the third one is study skills and health. Now, see, now when the times have changed, we are not physically present, right? So that picture that that I showed you before, this isn't happening much. So a lot of times where teachers, just by their presence, just by their calming, guiding presence, used to inspire students to do things and get things done on time. Or even sometimes out of fear, you're just like so scared of the teacher that you do it. That's not happening anymore, because a text, a WhatsApp text, is not as threatening or is not as inspiring as a teacher looking at your face and saying you something in front of you when you are in the teacher's office or inside the classroom. So everything the student has to do on their own. A lot of autonomy is required in online classes. That is the point here. Autonomy means, can they do things on their own? And do they have somebody, if they're young learners, like Shivani deals with young learners, so do the young learners have someone to support them and become autonomous? Do they have enough time management skills where they can do the assignments and attend the class on time, be ready, connect all the devices and attend the class on time, finish stuff on time? Personal planning, like managing the notes and just conducting their own selves, own lives. Do they have those skills? Do they have those study skills? And of course, the most important thing, which has been like the talk of the nation for many countries now, and particularly in this situation where we've been talking so much about the death of Sushant Rajput, right? So emotional health is something that we cannot avoid, be it any kind of learning atmosphere. So we have to take into consideration about the emotional health of the child. So what are the ways of knowing all these things about a student? The first thing is, if you're teaching, then maybe already you have some idea about the student, so you can start making a note. It's very important to make a separate teacher's journal, a teaching journal. This can be like a physical journal, a notebook, a diary, or a digital one. A Google Doc is enough. Like an MS Word file is enough for that, right? And in that journal, you can just write down what you know already about them. You can make an Excel sheet and prepare like a student-wise or class-wise, if the students are a lot and you can't really keep track of that, class-wise, some general idea about all these things. If you don't know them already, then I'm sure there's some space where you connect and contact with them, like WhatsApp or Edmodo is something that I personally love and very popular. Google Classrooms or some place where you exchange information. There you can like set out a questionnaire or just like a survey, you know, the kind of registration forms that I give out before the course, where you have to fill in things and I get all the information. You can give in a survey and just ask some questions and have a general idea about things, right? Or if you really want to push yourself, or if you have the opportunity, you can individually contact them, right? Have live discussions with them, or call them on the phone and keep in touch. And I think that this third option is the best one if possible, because that is the closest the student will get of the teacher, that is hearing the voice, getting undivided, exclusive attention of the teacher that they absolutely um, love and they admire. That no matter how naughty this child is, no matter how bad the relation is with the teacher, when a teacher calls, and this I know personally, because although I've been teaching for years now, I'm still a student, and I think everyone should be a student all life. And my manager at the council, when I get a personal call from her, it means something very essential to me, and that is something that caters to a lot that I was not getting during the time when no one contacted me, and it's a time of social isolation, quarantining yourself and not being able to meet anyone physically. So it's all the more important to have that individual personal touch, and personal phone calls do help a lot. So that is the way of knowing your students a little bit, or at least taking one step, right? A lot of things what we are going to discuss now will be quite a lot, right? So it's very easy to get overwhelmed. So here's my advice before we go ahead. Just take a baby step at a time. You don't have to do a lot of things immediately. Just take one step, just one question. How are you? And just send it to students, and you will get some information from them. Then whenever you meet them for classes, then you can ask some questions that cater to these things now and then. So that's the first step, guys. Now, after knowing the students, what comes next is to preparing the students. Before we discuss that, I'd like to ask all of you, when you Anshul said you've done some college courses and they happen online. Pravalika has given us some fantastic websites, and where she has learned academic writing and electronic tutorials, and a lot of them. And Shivani, of course, has done a lot, like webinars and personally taking classes. So when a teacher, be it you as a teacher or your teacher, when a teacher takes an online class, or when the teachers of your courses that you have done, they took the online class, or they organized the course, if you've done a webinar, or if you've done some online non-live classes, they're known as asynchronous classes. We'll come to that later. Non-live classes, then how did they prepare you? Did they, remember I sent some selfie videos explaining how to move from WhatsApp to Edmodo and how to do certain things. So how did you prepare yourself to join these courses or conduct these courses? Use the chat box. All of you can use the chat option in order to use. If you are new to Zoom, then I can tell you, if you're using a phone, then just click on more. This is an Android phone, by the way. Click on more and select chat. You see, and then in chat you will get this window, and here at the bottom, just type in what you want and click on send, and everybody will be able to see what you've written. So use the chat option to give this answer. That how did you get prepared, or you prepared your students for the online learning that you have done? Shivani says we had sent an email, sent a mail with instructions. Okay. Anything else? So by the time others are writing, Shivani, would you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I have written one more sentence. Like before the classes were commencing, we got training from our IT department
Okay.
about Zoom. They trained us how to use Zoom as a platform for taking online classes, and
Okay.
then we drafted a mail with instructions how to download Zoom, how to create an account, and then we requested the parents also. Like, I take pre-primary classes like KG, so
Right.
the kids are very small for that, for
Yeah.
using phones and tabs or
Right.
laptops. So we instructed the parents to be near them where
Yeah.
whenever we are taking the classes and all. And then we told them to create an account in their child's name, because in Delhi, as you all know, the classes starts, the new session starts from 1st April, and
Yeah.
the lockdown started on, I think, 22nd or 23rd of March. So it was
Yeah.
very difficult for us, because whenever we start a session, so we usually take 10 to 15 days to create a bond with our students.
Yeah.
So, like, physically when we meet them, so it's almost like 2 weeks to make a bond with them. But
Yeah.
here, like, digitally, it was very difficult to create that bond with them. So we, like, planned our sessions in the way that they get to know us and we also get to know them. So it took time to create that bond, but yes, we did that. And parents always, they sit with their children, so it was not that difficult for us.
Right. Okay. Great. That's really helpful. Pravalika, you said checking for any prerequisites and files to install that would be required during online training. And how did they check it?
So for example, Zoom meeting, if I have to attend Zoom meeting to my laptop, I would have to run a Zoom file. Before that, I have to download a batch file and then I have to run every time, if I want, every time I attend a Zoom meeting.
Yeah,
So
but
that is kind.
how did they train you? So you did some Zoom training before,
Yeah,
like
like I have
attended.
attended a,
So
a
how did they?
webinar.
What
So
was their role in preparing you? Yeah. Sorry. Continue.
So actually, they did not give any instructions as of how to install the app. Rather, they simply shared the meeting ID as Anshul mentioned in the chat box.
Yeah.
But if I click on the link, then a lot pop-ups will be generated on window itself. Like you have
Okay.
to install this batch file if you want to use Zoom. So then we have to just simply follow the instructions. So they are not
And that
detailed.
was okay. And that was from Zoom, or was that from the one who was conducting the training?
It was from Zoom, not from the trainers. From trainers, I
Okay.
get only information about the meeting ID and password, and few instructions like keep your note if I want to note anything in between the session. So those kind of general instructions.
Right. Okay. Great. So Anchal says just we get the meeting IDs and you everything is done during the session when the session
No,
starts.
I
Okay.
didn't get any set of instructions. It was like sometimes the professor itself make the meeting ID, or
Uh-huh.
he or she will ask any student to make that group, and
Uh-huh.
they will send that link in the WhatsApp group. So everyone at the time decided they will just go and everyone joins the meeting, the class. Sometimes
Okay.
it was like the presentation was going on display, and sometimes it was just an oral discussion.
Okay. All right. So you saw like there are different ways in which trainers prepare their students. So as teachers, what is ideal? How to prepare the students, right? So just compare what I have to offer here with what you have already got or done as students or as teachers. Okay. So there are three ingredients, guys. Three main ingredients to preparing the students to study online. And the first one is to have a plan, right, with key dates and times mentioned. See, when we join a course like when we register ourselves for uh, and for a BTech or for a BA course or masters in a university, or think about a school. you have to physically be present in a particular time. But punctuality is respected, where you know that in the coming next 2 or 3 months, this is how my life is going to be. And you balance your study and your regular day-to-day life accordingly. But you know exactly when the key dates are, when the exams are coming, when there's a holiday, and you can plan yourselves. Now, with this pandemic coming in suddenly, right, we are just doing things ad hoc, means as and when required. It's happening with the best of the organizations where they have absolutely no clue of the time frames. So the first thing that that a teacher needs to do in order to prepare their students is to create and share a study engagement or task plan and very clearly mention the key dates and the timings, right? Many people who are using scheduled meetings, they are giving the links with the times mentioned. So that is very important. And it can be a little tentative, but an overall uh, structure should be very clear in the minds of the learners that when and for how long I have to be engaged with this and how much time will I need to give at home to do something, right? Because when you are at home in your room, surrounded by your family members, it becomes like it's a completely different universe. So you need to have that mind frame. That's the first thing. The second thing is to have a central place, guys, a central place where all the resources can be shared. It can be very easy to be messy when you're teaching online, to just share a screenshot during the meeting. Like even today, see, like I collected information about you in a slide, and it's there, it's saved there. And then what if I wanted to give you a material? I send it to you on the WhatsApp group, and then something I want to share with you, I send it over email. And then you asked me something, I told it to you over a call, or you asked me something on the chat and I just replied it on the chat. So there's no collation, and it's really messy. So for online teaching, students need to have a central place where they get all the helpful links, guidance, support from the teacher, and also leave the teacher alone, at least in the odd hours of the day. That's like, I'm sure all of you must know this problem where teachers just get a call in the middle of the night. If not a call, then a text message at the middle of the night about work or about students' problems, about this and that. Shivani is unmuted. I am sure she has something to share.
Yes, I
Yes.
wanted to share this. Like at any time of the day, they won't see the time. They won't see the like we also have a personal life, but they message, they call, and then the starting line would be, "Sorry to bother you, ma'am, but we need this, we need that." So I wanted to share this with you. That's why I unmuted myself.
Yes. Last night at 2 o'clock, I got this long message from some old student from the council saying, "Hey, I have drafted this article and I have to publish it. So please proofread it." I'm like, hello, just because I started teaching, and I was
Exactly.
like, I have all the right in the world to be online and not respond to you, right? And these
Obviously,
people do get
at the end
offended
of the
when
day, even we have our personal lives, so they can't
exactly.
interfere in that.
Yes. So for in order to avoid that, that place where your private space is respected, that place should be there. And that is why we have the Edmodo group, which I absolutely love. And there are many strong reasons why I prefer Edmodo over WhatsApp or Telegram or Google Classroom or any other popular this commonplace platform which most organizations use. And the one that I'm talking about is Edmodo, and you all have used it because you were there in the group. So what are the benefits of Edmodo? See, I am not promoting Edmodo, but it's just my out of sheer love of the platform that I'm discussing this with you. The first thing is it has a very Facebooky feel, you know, so it's like a social media platform. So people are used to it. It's not very new for them. And people who have just used Facebook will be able to use Edmodo without a lot of problems, if any, you know. So it's very a lot like social media. So collaboration happens really well. And it has the privacy settings intact. So no one needs to share their personal phone numbers. WhatsApp is something you usually use with friends, family, and every random person. You use WhatsApp, and when you're talking about a very serious thing with your friend, you would not want to be interrupted by a video call from a student who can't solve some problem. Right. So this will not happen in Edmodo. So there's no video calling, but there's personal messaging system in Edmodo, which you can use to respond to them. Assignments can be very nicely shared. Quizzes can be made, which I'm going to start with you. I'm going to post some quizzes on the Edmodo group, which you can work on to improve your language. So I was just wrapped up with a lot of things, and I will be relatively free from next week onwards. So I will begin doing all that. Next week is also when we begin the 5-day reading course and the elementary course. We'll talk about that in a while. So Edmodo. So Edmodo quizzes, and there are many more reasons why I love Edmodo. These are on the top 5 reasons, right? But then of course there are alternatives, because people tend to see in WhatsApp we have about 500 people in different WhatsApp groups. Anshu's English lessons, 500 people. But when I ask them to migrate to Edmodo, we have about 50 in Edmodo, because people are more comfortable in WhatsApp. Even when I'm teaching now, when I'm teaching some people on IELTS, some people on speaking skills one-to-one, I prefer to send things on Edmodo, but they request me, can you please do it on WhatsApp? Because of the sheer convenience. And that's why Facebook bought the company of WhatsApp. It's very convenient to use, because your life is kind of very easily shared through photos, videos, and texts and groups and whatnot, video calls, everything happens on WhatsApp very easily. So WhatsApp should not be ruled out because of the popularity. Everyone knows how to use it, and everybody has it on their phones, right? So WhatsApp can be another. There is, of course, Telegram and Google Classroom. Google Classroom is the second best option, I would say. It is not as rich and full of features like Edmodo, but you can very well conduct a class very smoothly, where you share links and you share material, and you can have a conversation there. You can like things, comment things, a lot like Edmodo, but no quizzes and no assignment submissions, and yeah, things like that. So that's about the center place. And the final thing, which I think is as important as anything else that we have discussed so far, to prepare students to study online, is this. You don't just need to create that common space. WhatsApp groups, Edmodos are good, but your learners need to feel that they're part of the community. They need to know each other a bit to work together. Collaboration cannot happen with strangers. Collaboration needs to be, in order to make a effective learning environment, collaboration is wonderful, and collaboration only happens effectively when you have a feeling of a community, that, hey, you and I belong to a group, a common shared group, a shared space, right? So here is where the teacher's role comes in really strongly. The teacher has to take in the leading role to to bond with the students, like from teacher to student bonding, and also student to student bonding. The teacher has to step in by creating that atmosphere, by giving work that includes interaction, by giving shared projects, by doing activities in which they talk to each other. You know, that will only make the online the classes thing successful. Because just think about it, all the learning that you've done face to face with your with in a college or in like the British Council course, you had classmates with whom you had human connections, and you felt like a community where you stood up, and almost everyone becomes like really close friends by the end of the courses, and you get friends for lives there. And learning requires that. It's wrong to say that, hey, I've come here to study, so you just keep quiet, I'm going to focus. Some people do that, but even they have a bond with them. You know, like a hatred is also like a sense of community. You don't love everybody equally, right? You have your degrees, getting annoyed, and it is part of a community, and that community needs to be there in order for a learning community to thrive, in order the learning group to thrive, right? So the teacher, how can the teacher do this? They can do this by making it more human as possible. Like an online class like this, I could have very well muted all of you and would have said everything I wanted and then said bye-bye and would have left. But the very fact that anybody can unmute yourselves, communicate, that for that to happen, it's the teacher's responsibility to um, give give enough platform for that to thrive and to begin flourishing more and more. So these three ingredients are absolutely essential to prepare the students to study online. Yeah. Let's check the chat if you've said anything. Yeah, nothing else. Any questions, comments? If you don't say, I'll just move on to the next point. Yeah, let's move. See, guys, the next part is planning your online classes. A lot of it, when it comes to online education, a lot of it is exactly like face-to-face classes, right? So you have to plan your lessons, you have to have your knowledge of a teacher, subject knowledge, you have to have classroom management skills of grouping students according to what you know about, pacing your course, your syllabus. Right? But when it comes to online classes, there are some other things which you also need to consider. Let's quickly go through them. There are 4 of them that I have pointed out, which I felt were very essential. Right? The 4 things you need to plan your course are these. You need to know what have you been mandated by your institution. Like, for example, Shivani told us how they were using Zoom, and they have to use Zoom. They cannot suddenly start calling students on WhatsApp. And then from 15th June, they're moving to Microsoft Teams. They have to train themselves to use Microsoft Teams. So she has been, and other teachers of her organization, they have been mandated, means made compulsory, to um, to follow these steps for online teaching. So this is the first thing you need to consider. Like, what are the things I've been mandated, and upscaling yourself, making yourself skilled in those things. The second thing is understanding the aspect of how much time you have to conduct the course. Many a times the course will run faster than it usually runs in the class. And mostly if you're dealing with young children, it's going to be completely different. And I'm sure Shivani will agree with how it was to conduct students face to face. And now when it's online, it's so much different. The time, sometimes it flies, and sometimes just time doesn't pass, right? So you have to be
Exactly.
yes, and you do need to understand the pacing of your online class. And after you have experienced a few classes, you have to reschedule and restructure your course according to the pace that you have um, um, just thought about when you were planning, right? Because you also need to understand that you need to prepare the students, right? You're not teaching your plan, you're teaching the students. So plan has to be flexible. Students are humans. So for that, you need to consider and restructure your time. You have to also consider what digital resources you can reuse. You have got PDFs, you've got PPTs. YouTube is a wonderful resource where you have a lot of material, right? If it's electronics that you're teaching, and Pravalika is looking at ESL now, English language training now. So just for ESL, there's so many videos out there. Like I have posted a couple of videos on like short videos. The full length classes are also there in the YouTube channel, but I've posted 2 videos. Now they have become resources which I can reuse. Now every time I'm gonna teach writing, I'm just gonna post that plan your writing video where they're gonna understand how to make a mind map. Every time I'm teaching pronunciation, I'm going to say that, hey, just have an idea of all the sounds in English language. Just watch this 7-8 minutes video. So you have to consider what digital, you don't have to create everything. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, but you need to be aware of all the digital resources which you can reuse instead of creating again and again and just wasting time doing that, because it can be really difficult, much more difficult to teach online than teaching face to face. You also have to consider if the teaching really have to be synchronous or live or asynchronous. The other word is asynchronous. Synchronous means what we're having right now, a live class. Where you are sitting, I'm sitting, we are having a live discussion. Asynchronous means when you post some material, which mostly what colleges and universities are doing, even schools are doing, they're just posting the resources. And trust me, I just yesterday I was watching Hassan Min. If you are on Netflix, if you use Netflix, there's a wonderful comedian called Hassan Minaj. He has a weekly show running. So I'd recommend watching. I'd really recommend you watching this. He talks about how the idea of universities and education has changed now in the pandemic. Like Stanford and Oxford and Dublin University, there's so many universities that are closing down because the people are not paying fees. And honestly, you don't want to pay about 50, 60 lakh rupees. 50 to 60 lakh rupees is a fortune for many people. Even the rich it's even for them it's a significant amount. You're giving for what? For some videos to be sent, and some online correction of papers. It's not worth it. So people have stopped spending those money, those fees. They have to stop. And the universities, many departments, if not the complete universities, are closing down, right? So things are changing very badly. So you have to decide when you plan your lesson that do you really need everything to be asynchronous, means resources sent and students use their own time to do whatever they want, or live classes like this, which is more like a face-to-face class. So you have to plan which ones do you want to do this. And for me, the best thing is a mixture of both, where I send you resources and students consume it in their own time. And then when you come back to the class, then we use those resources into doing something collaboratively together, communicating with each other. It's known as the communicative approach of language learning. I'm a language teacher, so I'm just going to focus on language learning here. But it works for all kinds of teaching, not just language learning. Great. So these 3 ingredients, guys, are key to planning your online classes. Any questions, comments that you'd want to share or ask? Yeah, good to go. Great. So what I want you to do now is unmute yourselves and have a discussion with each other, 3 of you. You can talk to each other. I'm just going to listen. I'm going to also be part of this conversation and just compare your teaching or learning experience with what we discussed now in preparing students and planning for online classes. Right? You can take a while to think about it. Here's the question. Compare your experience of online learning and teaching and just think about the stuff that we just discussed about knowing your students, preparing your students, and planning your online classes. And are there any points that you felt weren't covered that we discussed in your experience? Or were there points where you think were covered which we need to discuss now in order to prepare the students and plan our online classes? Anybody can begin.
It's almost the same which we are doing, like planning. Then we make schedules, we mail the schedules to them, and then we have both. We're talking about synchronous and asynchronous thing.
Yeah.
So we are doing both. Like we have we have, like, each child has his or her own KRM app. So we post the links, the videos, the PPTs, with whatever we make, we post them on that app, and so that the kids can recapitulate whatever we are doing in the sessions. So
Yeah.
it's almost the same what all you have discussed here.
Right. Uh, is there anything that you're doing which has been really helpful that we did not cover about preparing the students or um, planning the
No,
course?
I think it's like we are not preparing the students. In fact, we are preparing the parents for the classes, because they
Yeah.
are the ones who are sitting with the kids, and like in my case, I'm talking about, they are sitting with their kids, and they are doing all the handling of the laptops and tabs and everything. So, like,
Yeah.
chatting option, everything, they are using it. So we are basically we prepared the parents instead of students.
Yeah. That's
So
a
it
very
was
good
like
point.
that.
And
But what about the parents who don't really take care of their child's studies? Like how a child single-handedly will motivate himself or herself? Like there are students who are not, self-motivated in teaching. While
See,
going
for
to
higher
school, they
classes,
have.
okay,
Mhm.
like for higher classes, they gave 2 or 3 mock classes where
right.
parents
Mhm.
were supposed to sit. But after that, like, I'm talking about the higher students. They are
Mhm.
like the kids who are studying in higher classes. Now they sit alone. They don't need parent support. But yes, at times parents just want to check. Like, it was a total lockdown, so they were also at home with no work to do. So they were also sitting along with their kids and just going through how a teacher teaches and what are the activities with no that we are doing. So parents were there, like.
Right.
So uh,
So yeah, that's interesting. What I really find interesting here is how to deal with the question that Pravalika asked, how to deal with those pain, because preparing the students not necessarily does the job completely of preparing them, because these skills that we talked about, time management and personal planning and autonomy, these are not there in many students, and when the parents should step in and they are not responsible, so I think then the responsibility passes over to the teacher, because that is the teacher is the only teacher is like the godfather now of the child, because I know there are parents, I know many parents, even personally in my course of teaching with the British Council, when I was teaching young learners there would be parents who would not even turn up at the last day, and of course there are other parents who would like just really gnaw on your neck to know more about their child, and they would just like do everything and even overdo. Most parents even overdo what they try to do things that they shouldn't be doing to help their children grow. There, of course, there are other parents who really don't care. How to deal with that? It's a very interesting question. What do you think, Pravalika? Do you have any? Oh, Pravalika is the one who asked this. What do you think, Anchal?
I think Anjali is the person who asked that question, like
Oh, I'm
how
so
to deal
sorry.
with
Yes, yes,
how to deal with
yes. Pravalika.
yeah. So like you said, we have to create a community wherein you should give that
Right.
that feel. Yeah, we are here as a community and we need to help each other out. So we should create a space wherein they should be able to open up and speak out their mind in order to get any help. If they are not doing so, then as a teacher we will be having a little bit of idea about each individual. How are they open minded? Do they generally say whatever they are thinking in classes, since she might be having some experience face to face, so she can have a personal conversation with that particular student just to understand the status of the person's mind, like how is this entire thing going on with you, what is the experience. Otherwise they can just put out a survey with a general list of questions to understand how students are taking this entire online course thing. So it will
Right.
give us
So
a pretty good idea like how many people
yeah,
are comfortable.
yes, and this comes here when you have general considerations of age. You can add this list of parents' involvement. You shouldn't make it public, but teachers can have their own record of which parents have what level of involvement with their children.
And
That's
then we
yeah.
and then we can have one-to-one interaction with the parents and knowing them and telling them how to make that how to take interest in their child's study life.
Yeah, very true.
But personally, for me, I see connectivity and accessibility as the major issue because most of the parents, as you said, digital literacies, they may not be even aware of how to
Just,
handle gadgets.
I'm a little confused. Is this Pravalika who's speaking now or Achal?
Yeah, I'm Pravalika.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So
good.
I see connectivity and accessibility as the major issue other than
Mhm.
the two things because most
Yeah,
of the parents may not be aware of uh, the advanced technology of
yeah,
digital learning and teaching. So
yeah,
how do
right.
we
So
cater for
in
those
order to,
things?
yeah, in order to cater to that problem, what can we do? See, what I have done here is I have not begun completely, but understanding my scenario. See, I am in West Bengal now, and I'm dealing with many university students who are from a very, very remote area where there is no proper atmosphere, there is no infrastructure. Smartphone is the rarity there. They have got 2G, some have 3G. Wi-Fi is something that they have to go to their own university to get a taste of. So this is when I was discussing, when I was doing this bit with the professors of the course that I did last week. Um, the only thing that came out of the session was you can scaffold them by as much as you can. I mean, see, screen recording is the best thing that I can think of. You know, screen recording, screen capture. This is for people who have infrastructure, but they're not, as Pravalika pointed out, they're not digitally literate. They're not as literate as how to use Google Docs or how to create your own account in a new website or things like that. So screen recordings are wonderful. See, on the phone you have apps like KineMaster, and I think that's the most popular one, like KineMaster, and there's X Recorder. There are two. What it allows Android phones and iPhones to screen capture. So you can do it yourself, and they also allow for the video and audio to be captured. So the way I have posted in before, I have used X Recorder, where I showed how to use it Moodle. Now that should become a norm. Of always, whenever you're using a new app, whenever you're changing something, whenever you're using anything new, just have the habit of using X Recorder or KineMaster. This is for the phone. And for a laptop, if you have a laptop, then Apple, if you have a MacBook, then you have the recorder by default. But if you have a Windows, then a wonderful app is it's called Camtasia. This is the one that I love. It allows you to screen capture only portion of it or the whole screen. It also gives you a small box of video where students can see what you're saying. And my second favorite is also Loom. Now, they have not copied the name from Zoom, but they are a separate company and they have been running for years. And I absolutely love it because of the simplicity of this app. Uh, so just try out Loom. It helps you record your screen and give feedback and teach someone. Very interesting points discussed here. So regarding connectivity, accessibility, now we have, okay, Anchal has been waiting in the waiting room. Just a second. Anchal, were you disconnected? Because I just saw you in the waiting room. How much did you miss? Let me unmute you.
There was some problem.
Yeah, did you miss out on a lot?
Yes, I was, when we were discussing about the parents looking after their child's
Oh, you missed
sessions
out the
and
whole
all.
topic. Would
Yeah.
Shivani quickly summarize what we just discussed to Anchal?
We were like Anshu was telling us about screen recording. Like for phones, we can have KineMaster and X Recorder, and for laptops, MacBook, they have their default video screen recording. But for Windows, we can use Loom, or the other one was Castalia, right?
Camtasia.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I wrote the wrong spelling. I have this habit of writing wrong in the screen. Sorry, I'm just like correcting you.
So that's what
Camtasia. Camtasia.
Camtasia. Okay.
Yes. And also there's Loom. Loom is amazing.
Loom, yes, Loom.
Yeah.
This is for Windows, right?
Yeah.
Loom.
Loom and Camtasia is for Windows. MacBooks, they have their own screen recorders, and for phones, we have KineMaster and X Recorder.
Yeah, and we were discussing all this because
Connectivity issues.
Yeah. She pointed out that the main problem is the connectivity issues and accessibility that many students might face. So for people who do not have access to infrastructure, then it becomes very limited for the options are very limited for the teacher unless they personally go out of the way to help them financially to buy something. Now, that is going to the extreme, and for that you need some help from the organization, or a group of people can do that. But when we're talking about digital literacy, that is how much do you know your device, then these screen recordings would really help, and these are the options for the screen recording. So this problem of connectivity and accessibility is a problem that is often faced by a professor who is attending the session now, Professor Agarwal, and he has been quiet throughout. So let me introduce him. He's a professor of literature, and he has been teaching in West Bengal in a university to students online. He took the initiative to start teaching online here, and when no one else was doing it, and he was the first to do it. So I'd request him to share his experience of this problem of limited connectivity and accessibility, and if he has any insights to share about how to deal with this problem.
Look, what I feel that majority of my students being at this moment locked in some remote rural areas where they don't have good connectivity, number one. Many of them even don't have the proper Android phones or some phones or some devices on which they can attend my Zoom classes. So what I found, surprisingly, that when I started it in first week of April, out of mere curiosity and excitement, around 60 to 65% of students joined my online classes initially. But to my great surprise, I gradually found the numbers dwindling. And recently what I find is that out of the total strength of, say, 70 or odd numbers, hardly 10, 12, 15, 20 maximum are participating. So what I feel, the ground reality, especially in the rural areas, is really very scary. Uh, they have network issues, they have other, might be some kind of family issue. They don't really have some very peaceful place where they can have, uh, they can use their headphones and attend it properly. Uh, because we have tutored them how to use the Zoom. So I don't think that they are facing any problem. They used to converse with me on chat, and sometimes even I just divide them in the breakout rooms, and they participate. But then they really have a mind block also. They generally try to keep mum because they have that feeling that, well, when very senior professor is speaking, then they should not really speak out. So it is really a challenging thing for me to reach out to them properly. And what I'm doing is I'm continuously inspiring them, not using much of a negative word or any such word that might demotivate them. Used to post them in WhatsApp, used to send them some mail, give them some activities here and there, somehow engage them. So I think as teachers, especially in this particular difficult time, we have to be very, very empathetic, as Anshu has rightly said. We have to keep in mind that, well, many of them might have some or the other problem. And we have to be very sensitive. We have to be very friendly. We have to be student-centric and try to involve them in more and more activities. I think that's what we can do and we should do.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the insightful comments. And what he was trying to get at was a lot of things, and trying to understand the trend of how things are changing, and we need to adapt accordingly, right? So the question here arises of student engagement, and that is something that we can pick up as the next workshop topic, as to how to keep our students engaged, because you are not there with them personally. They just can get disinterested, as the curious case of what Professor Agarwal just said, that huge number of students were attending. So infrastructure wasn't the main problem. The problem was with something else. They weren't engaged for n number of reasons, maybe family reasons, or maybe they think that I don't really need to attend it because they're not participating enough. So in order to keep that engagement level high, what is the best that we can do? It's always about what you can do rather than what are the limitations that keeps your boat afloat, right? It's always that one step that you can take forward rather than think about reaching the perfect destination. So that is the mantra that I think will help me, and I should remind myself again and again that start slow and take one step at a time. And one thing that I often want to focus on is the fact that we are all in a very dicey situation. We should not forget this. Sorry, this is something that we often forget as teachers, and we should just remind ourselves that we are also students, and be empathetic, not about the students, but also be empathetic. Empathy is not the right word, but have some self-love and be kind to yourself is something that we should not forget. Thanks a lot for joining the first Anshu's English Lessons workshop. The recording of this session will be available in the VIP group. and also the all access group. So these two groups will have the recording of this. And let's see if in the future I make a short video, like the snakes and snacks. If you not watched that video, I really worked hard on that video. Snacks and Sneaks, which sounds video. So I'll make a short video compressing all the information that we've had here, and then maybe give a link to this session. Of course, removing your personal information that you've shared before, the main discussion parts. And whoever will be interested, not many, I think just 10-20% of the people really look at the whole thing, people who are really interested. But when I make it shorter, they tend to, and I try to make it entertaining somehow to just like have more engagement, because engagement is important. So I'll try to. Now this is something that I've not planned, but I will plan, because teacher training is part of what Anshu's English Lessons aims for. It's equally important as language training for Anshu's English Lessons in me. That we cater to all the upcoming teachers and like give quality teacher training, and also be a quality teacher trainer myself in the process of whatever we do in all the activities. It's been wonderful so far, and I'm accelerating all of us. When I say we in Anshu's English Lessons, I mean all of us, all people supporting me, my family and my people, and all the resources that I'm getting, everything. So that's why I use we and I don't use I, because trust me, I use a lot of resources, people as resources to support English, Anshu's English Lessons. That's why it's a we. And as I said, let me remind you that when we do enough number of workshops, then when we do courses, I'd love to get some assistance from you to conduct these courses. So I'll give you some roles where you can just help to conduct Anshu's English Lessons. It will be amazing. I'm really thrilled about that. So thanks again for joining.
Thank you so much, Anshu. It was a nice session. Looking forward to more of such kind of sessions.
Yes, even I am. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for joining, and just keep your Edmodo notifications on for more announcements. The announcement for the reading course and the elementary course, I was supposed to do it today, but there was a British Council meeting that I had to attend, and I spent hours doing that. So I'll just work on that today. So I just might post the registration forms today. So just like keep yourself sharp. And I'm really excited about the reading course, because this is something that I always wanted to conduct, a training that I wanted to conduct, but I've never done that. And I have used these techniques myself to become an extremely horrible reader to the decent reader who I am today. It's not about reading skills of theoretical reading skills, but very practical hands-on experience of hands-on exercises on how to improving your reading speed, like how to control your vision and how to take bites, and how to understand your current reading speed, how to understand the reasons why you are a slow reader, why you get exhausted, and some pro exercises. If you want to become a pro reader, there are 5 days, and each day would be like a day where you step up from how you were before. So I'm very excited about that, and it would be lovely if you can join that course too. So do register for the course, and of course all these courses which we're doing are going to be pay us what you want, because of the support that you and the other patrons have been giving me, and I can get some bread and butter to my house, because the subsistence and the existence of running something like this. Right now I'm sitting in the studio with huge lights and everything, so things are rolling, and I need a lot of support from people. So that's all, and thanks a lot again, and let's hope to see you again. Bye-bye. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye bye. Anshu, bye bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.